Zdarova narod means hey guys. Today we're gonna be making a video about Mists of Pandaria Death Knight from a Gladiator DK point of view, and I'm gonna be bringing up both arena and actually freaking RBGs in here as well. And this is gonna be about talents only. The next video about MOP DKs are gonna be about the new skills we're getting, and the last one will be connecting new skills and talents and how the synergy can work between each other. And there's a lot of good stuff about DKs coming in. So the whole talent system, you guys see, it's actually not 100% accurate because number 60, there's no Vampire Blood. Vampire Blood is actually core blood spec. There's gonna be a life conversion, and I'm gonna correct the tooltip. I did quite a bit of research for you guys. So let's get started right away from the first tier talents. So let's get started with the first talents here. The Rolling Blood. Rolling Blood. Blood Ball ability triggers Pestilence if it strikes a diseased target. This is a purely PvE perspective talent, and it's only for blood decays. The reason why is because blood decays actually need to do a lot of blood balls to get the aggro going. And in this perspective, Rolling Blood is actually nice. Maybe Blood Decay in PvP in RBGs, but it's not gonna be major. The reason why for Frost and Unholy it's not viable is because Unholy need to do really good amount of festering strikes or even a pestilence to get their death runes going. And for Frost, there's no way they want to sacrifice a death rune for a blood boil, because especially it's not affected by their mastery. The second one is Vile Spew, and it has no cooldown. The tooltip is actually bugged out. It's not 30 runic power, it's actually 60 runic power. And erupts a shower of bile, dealing shower damage to all enemies and affects them with a blood plague and frost fever. Couple things here guys, it hits for about 2 to 3k shadow damage at level 85. There's nobody at level 90, so I cannot give you accurate numbers at level 90. But nevertheless, this is actually the most core talent for Unholy Decays, especially for the comes as a Shadow Cliff or for RBGs, because Unholy Decays right now provide a very little pressure when it comes to doing their AoE. The reason for Frost it's much easier to get into RBGs is because A, Howling Blast spam, and B, Howling Blast also applies the Frost Fever. Well, in this case, Unholy Decay's disease damage is actually going up to 100%. Right now we have roughly about 60%, so our disease do 40% more damage. And Vile Spew is 60 runic power, and basically our pet pukes all over the freaking place and infects people with a blood plague and frost fever. Think about it this way, you're the party, you got drunk, you turn to a crowd of people and you vomit on them. That's basically the same principle out here. Nevertheless, this is gonna be core talent for Unholy Decays, I would say at least for RBGs. Vile Spew is gonna be probably used 9 out of 10 times for Unholy Decays in arena. The only time Unholy Blight could be used for Unholy Decay for the comes as a PhD, where you don't want to apply some extra dots on the healer, so your hunter's CC will break. And last but not least, Unholy Blight surrounds the Death Knight with a vile swarm of unholy insects, stinging all enemies within 10 yards every 1 second and affecting them with the blood plague and the frost fever. Now I'm gonna roll a little bit ahead of time and I'm gonna show you guys this advance. Its movement empowering effects cannot reduce you below 75% of the normal speed. On top of it, it doesn't require any more unholy runes on cooldown. And the reason why I showed you this talent is because while Unholy Blight is actually pretty amazing, especially for Frost Decays, cause their pet is on cooldown, so why would they be using Vile Spew that requires more runic power, especially when their pet is on cooldown? So the very viable thing for them to do is use Unholy Blight. But Unholy Blight combined with a Death Advance will enable you pretty much running as a Monkey King and spreading AIDS all over the freaking battlefield. That's the whole idea I see. That's a good synergy I see between the two talents, Death Advance and Unholy Blight for Frost Decays. Now, of course, I understand Frost Decays might want to get Chillbanes, and I'm gonna be talking about it later on. Now the second tier talents, and I'm gonna be actually giving you some outlook on the skills that are gonna be changing here as well. First of all, Lichborn, Anti-Magic Zone, Icy Grip. Lichborn, you can still heal yourself with a Death Coil. The main thing about that though is that AMS actually grants a runic power whenever it absorbs damage for baseline all the specs. So for us, going AMS and Lichborn that's called spam healing is actually going to be very viable. So it does give you a really good outlook on as a defensive cooldown, especially for Frost Decays. Anti-magic zone is also a little bit revamped because you can place it as a dazzling decay. You no longer have to be in the melee range of the target if you want to peel for your teammates. And of course you can place it on yourself just like as a dazzling decay, which is basically pretty good stuff. And the last one is Icy Grip. Reduces cooldown of Death Grip by 15 seconds and causes Death Grip to reduce movement speed of the target by 50%. Couple thing I want you guys to know, that we are also getting another good decent survivability. Not the burst survivability, but a good sustained survivability. Lichborn is gonna be really good, but I don't think it's worth sacrificing 50-second CD of the Death Grip. Right now, Death Grip is 25 seconds because we all pick Unholy Command talent. But in Mists of Pandaria, there's no longer gonna be talent like that. So we're basically gonna have to choose either Lichborn, or we're gonna have to lose a Lichborn and get a 20-second cooldown Death Grip. In my opinion, my personal perspective, I would prefer Icy Grip to both of those. Yes, I understand Anti-Magic Zone is a really good peel, and yes, I understand Lichborn heal is really good as well. And it's a very tough decision, but I would pick Death Grip over anything over those two talents any day, unless you're dueling somebody. For dueling, Lichborn and Anti-Magic Zone can provide useful. But for arenas and RBGs, Death Grip, this is the signature move of Decay. So the shorter cooldown, in my opinion, will outweigh both of those. On top of that, what I want to also say is that with increased survivability, we no longer need that maybe Lichborn heal. That's what the Blizzard's trying to do. And our Death Calls, and I'm going to be making updates on that too. Death Calls will actually put absorption on your targets when you're Death Calling it. It's for friendly. So if you are one to peel somebody, you no longer don't have to even pop MZ. You can just Death Call your healer if you're getting nuked by MLS or something. And I'm gonna be making of that in details probably tomorrow for you guys. So with that said, I like Icy Grip. Now let's move to the next tier talents. Now for this one we have choice between Death Advance, Chillbanes and Asphyxiate. Death Advance is improved version of a Death Advance because you no longer require Unholy Runes. Chillbanes is basically the same thing as it was before, and Asphyxiate is a new thing. It basically replaces Strangulate, puts it on 1 minute lower cooldown, which is 1 minute, and it's basically stun and silence at the same time. If the target is immune to stun, it silences them, and I believe if it's immune to silence, of course it's gonna stun. So with that retrospect, let me actually talk a little bit here. Chillbanes for Frost Decays, yes. For Unholy Decays, yes, you can spread out your freaking Ace via new Pet Wild Spew talent, but I still believe that I would prefer Death Advance as Unholy Decay any day. Yes, we lose Desecration as well, which limits our AoE snare capability, and I need to actually test it out really well. But let's say every time you're getting trained by Rogue, Warrior, anybody else with a Death Advance, your survivability goes by a huge amount. In my opinion, if especially in duels, when you're dealing melee DPS, Death Advance should be your top priority pick. Now for the Chillbanes, for Frost Decays and RBGs, oh god, yes, oh yeah baby, freaking Howling Blood spam, every AoE snared, awesome. And it's also going to be depending what you're running with. If your actual team will need a really good AoE snares, Unholy Decay might actually go Chillbanes. Or Frost Decay might go Death Advance if they have, let's say, Arms Warrior who can do Piercing House. Especially Piercing House has a larger range. I kinda don't understand why they're removing our AoE snare capability and buffing Warriors at the same time. But oh well, you know, you gotta take good with the bad. And then Asphyxiate. Basically stun or silence, and I think it's a really good talent. I like this talent, especially can provide really good kill opportunities, and if you combine maybe with a desecrated ground and which is unpillable, I'm gonna show it to you later on. Yes, it's gonna be very good. The only thing that I'm kinda skeptical about it is you're losing so much utility, man, and it replaces Strangulate. not an extra ability, it just replaces Strangulate. So you can either silence target for 5 seconds every 2 minutes, or you can basically silence target twice in that range. Yes, it's good, but we have Pet Stun, and there's also Remorseless Winter talent that I'm going to be talking about. And on top of it, every single person is getting a lot of stuns. Even my freaking dog is going to have a stun. They stun more probably than the cops with the taser guns. Let's be honest. Like, warriors get a lot of stuns, DKs get a good amount of stuns. Everybody gets stuns, everybody's fucking happy. So with that said, it's gonna be DRing, but it's still gonna be silencing. I think Asphyxiate is gonna be good in duels against certain classes. Maybe even go as far as dueling a Frost Mage. I think it's actually gonna be very viable. Depends if we can survive in long enough to do 2 Asphyxiates. And then I think it's gonna be good maybe for 2s as well. Maybe 2s double DPS. And then 3s with some comps that actually will require you to stun. Maybe like, let's say PhD. You asphyxiate a target and the hunters are unloading on it. It's gonna become dependent. My personal preference is gonna be most of the time Death Advance, because I hate getting snared. Well guys, thank you for watching. I am making right now the other videos, so it's gonna be annotated over here in terms of the last 2 tier talents for decades and a deep explanation on them. And I'm also gonna include live conversion because it's out there, by the way, and nobody knows what it is. So guys, click on this annotation and check out the other video as well. Again, all of them from PvP standpoint. Then the next steps I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show abilities, and then I'm gonna try to synergize abilities, talents, and what kind of gameplay difference you can actually expect from a DK. Спасибо, что посмотрели, и до свидания.